touring since I was 16.
Yeah, and they just like want to up the youth. It's so bad. It's so crazy.
You know what I saw today?
What?
Which was so crazy. It was like, I mean, maybe it wasn't that crazy, but it's like huge vape store. On the window, it said student discount, like something like 25% student discount. I'm like, that's horrible.
That's how I know I'm really frontal lobing too, because I'm just like,
excuse me, how are we surprised? Did y'all forget about the Mindy drama? Did y'all forget when Tana literally got on her full ass YouTube and made a video exposing Brooke to filth, and then Brooke made a response video and it literally broke the internet?
FBI just raided Tana Mongeau's penthouse in Beverly Hills. For months, federal agents had been quietly monitoring her movements, tracking her social media posts while she flaunted luxury handbags, designer heels, and clips from chaotic all-night parties. On the surface, she seemed like just another influencer, famous for her podcast drama, messy relationships, and wild brand deals. But investigators say there was something much bigger going on behind the scenes. The footage shows smashed electronics, luxury packaging being hauled out, and a rumor spreading fast that agents recovered an encrypted phone, possibly tied to secret accounts. Now, TikTok is flooded with edits, reaction videos, and wild theories, and everyone's asking the same question. Was it all just marketing or something much more serious?
I'm gonna go to Seth and bring it over and tell him I can't do this with Brooke. I can't do it with someone yelling at me. I can't. Nobody's fucking yelling at you. I made a joke about your tour. Brooke, I called you and you were yelling at me about the money. Also, all day in my mood, you have been kind of picking at me.
And basically Tana's video was about how she really liked this guy and like they had slept together, and then Brooke went and slept with that same guy and then slept with the man in Tana's house.
I'm finally at the point where I'm so mad at myself. We talked about this in an episode, so I'll keep it whatever. But I need to make a lot of decisions for my physical health and mental health and life and future, and I'm just like, geez Louise.
God, I just thought that was so crazy. I'm like, that's like having like a senior discount at the vape store. It's like, what the hell do you mean?
Yeah, and they just like want to up the youth. It's so bad. It's so crazy.
I can't choose where it's at. I'm gonna show up and do my job, which is to meet and greet and be on the stage. You meet and greet, you know. I think I hate everyone. I definitely hate you. Yeah. I'm just kidding. I thought it was funny to fight.
The way everyone's like, oh my god, Brooke and Tana are fighting. Brooke and Tana are fighting. Oh my god, I'm so shook.
According to leaked documents, Tana may have been involved in a complex crypto pump and dump scheme. It involved multiple hidden wallets, anonymous transactions, and shady promotional deals disguised as collaborations. The final trigger? A TikTok, now deleted, where she celebrated a sponsored win, wearing a $40,000 Chanel outfit. Hours later, the same coin she promoted tanked, wiping out thousands of small investors. At exactly 6:42 a.m., building security cameras captured federal agents entering with a search warrant. Tana wasn't there, but neighbors recorded everything.
Tana Mongeau and Brooke Schofield were once the internet's favorite chaotic best friend duo, until they weren't. One moment they're cracking jokes on the canceled podcast. The next, fans are split down the middle, picking sides like it's a reality TV finale. Or Team Tana versus Team Brooke. And it's not just harmless bickering. Between leaked fight footage, suspicious TikToks, and sudden podcast confessions, this friendship is facing public scrutiny like never before. So what's really going on here? Are we witnessing a friendship naturally drifting apart? Or is something way messier unfolding behind the scenes? It all started when footage of a heated argument, now being dubbed JSGate, was shown to live audiences during Tana and Brooke's Europe tour. What was supposed to be a behind-the-scenes moment quickly became Exhibit A in the growing speculation that these two might not be as close as they seem. The clips show Tana showing up late, Brooke's furious, tensions explode. And what shocked fans the most?
Brooke Schofield is no longer part of the canceled podcast for what appears to be an indefinite amount of time. Here is everything that we know so far. This is Brooke Schofield. She is a famous influencer who has been in the news a lot this past week after some of her...
The way they talk to each other. Viewers didn't see best friends having a rough day. They saw two people unraveling in real time. That was the first crack in the foundation. But just when the internet sided with Brooke, a new podcast episode flipped the narrative. Brooke called Tana out for skipping sightseeing while in Europe, and suddenly fans thought she was being the passive-aggressive one. And just like that, Team Tana made a comeback. Now, Tana's venting on air about feeling drained by certain friends, hinting at outgrowing toxic energy. Add in some very public drama with one of her longtime friends at a Pride event, and you've got a full-blown internet whodunit. And as if that wasn't enough, Tana just dropped a major hint that the canceled podcast might actually be, well, canceled. So, what's true? What's shade? And what's next for this viral friendship? Let's unpack everything. Because trust me, this isn't just about a podcast, it's about power, peace, and the price of public friendships. It was supposed to be just another wild tour stop.
Horrific, horrible, racist tweets have resurfaced. Here are just some of them if you want to pause and see them. So Brooke is part of a very popular podcast called Canceled, which she co-hosts with Tana Mongeau. Tana has finally spoken about the situation publicly and has shared what the podcast is going to look like for the time being.
Europe, fans, chaos, and a little behind-the-scenes fun. But when Tana and Brooke decided to air out some never-before-seen footage for their audience, nobody expected what came next. The moment the JSGate video rolled during their live show, jaws dropped. In the clip, Tana shows up late to the venue, shrugging off the early call time. She says she doesn't need to be there until the meet and greet starts. Brooke, on the other hand, is already stressed. She's heard from the team that delays are costing them money. She wants things to run smooth. Tana's energy, not quite matching that. The two go back and forth, the argument escalating quickly. And while they've always joked about fighting like sisters, this didn't look like playful banter. It looked raw, real, a power struggle with real consequences. What hit fans the hardest wasn't just the argument, it was how harsh their tone was. Words weren't held back. Viewers could see a long, simmering tension bubble to the surface. And by the time the footage ended, something unexpected happened. The crowd cheered for Brooke. Yep, Brooke, the usually more reserved one, got the applause. Why? Because people felt she was in the right. She was trying to hold the show together while Tana brushed off responsibility.
First, Tana shared that she personally made the decision for Brooke to not be a part of the podcast. And she shared that she condemns every single tweet that Brooke shared from her past. She also apologized for initially forgiving Brooke in the comments of one of Brooke's apology videos. So for now, it looks like Tana and her assistant Paige are going to be co-hosting the Canceled podcast.
That moment changed everything. It wasn't just a behind-the-scenes argument anymore. It became evidence in a growing case that this duo might be breaking apart. And from that point forward, every new episode, every side-eye, every comment was dissected. But just when the internet thought they'd figured it out, just when it looked like Tana was the one spiraling, things took a turn. Because in the very next episode, fans turned on Brooke. What happened that made people suddenly flip sides? Let's get into it. Right after JSGate had fans rallying behind Brooke, the next episode of Canceled flipped the script, and suddenly, Team Tana was trending again. In that episode, Brooke called out Tana for being missing in action during their European tour. While Brooke was out exploring cities with Paige and another friend, Tana wasn't around. According to Brooke, she felt like Tana was disconnecting from the group. It came off like a subtle guilt trip. One of those, I'm not mad, just disappointed moments. But Tana didn't stay quiet. She quickly clapped back, explaining that she was busy working, handling things behind the scenes, and wasn't ignoring them. She was just focused on the business side of the tour. Her tone? Calm but clear. She wasn't about to be painted as the bad guy 2 episodes in a row. And here's where things got interesting. The same fans who had just cheered for Brooke days earlier now felt like she was being unfair. The internet started calling her out for dragging Tana when she clearly had other responsibilities. Suddenly, the vibe shifted. The loyalty pendulum swung hard. People flooded the comments saying Brooke was acting passive-aggressive.
You know what I saw today?
What?
Which was so crazy. It was like, I mean, maybe it wasn't that crazy, but it's like huge vape store. On the window, it said student discount, like something like 25% student discount. I'm like, that's horrible.
That's how I know I'm really frontal lobing too, because I'm just like, I'm finally at the point where I'm so mad at myself.
Others said she was giving mean girl energy. Some even said she sounded jealous that Tana had more going on. In a matter of days, the narrative completely changed. It was no longer about who was right or wrong. It was about who fans felt closer to. And in that moment, Tana's relatability, her openness, her I'm doing my best vibe, won people back. But while that little internet storm died down quickly, something else was brewing. Because behind the scenes, Tana was dealing with another kind of pressure, one that had nothing to do with Brooke and everything to do with the people she still called friends. And that pressure, it followed her across time zones. While the internet was busy flipping sides between Tana and Brooke, Tana dropped something much more personal and way more revealing. In another episode of Cancelled, she opened up about feeling emotionally drained, not by Brooke, but by certain friends back home. And even though she was thousands of miles away, those friendships were still messing with her head. She described a moment in Belfast, middle of a tour, focused on work, and suddenly, calls from home. People doing things so out of pocket that it ruined her whole day. The way she described it, these weren't just random hiccups.
We talked about this in an episode, so I'll keep it whatever, but I need to make a lot of decisions for my physical health and mental health and life and future, and I'm just like, geez Louise.
God, I just thought that was so crazy. I'm like, that's like having like a senior discount at the vape store. It's like, what the hell do you mean?
This was the kind of behavior that made her question why she still kept certain people in her life. She didn't drop names, but the details were enough to make fans start connecting dots. She mentioned a recent trip to Cabo, a birthday getaway. She paid for everything, and she made one simple request. If people were going to drink, fine, but don't turn it into a full-blown scene. Don't get messy, don't ruin the vibe for others. Tana wasn't saying no fun. She was saying have fun, but stay respectful. Then came the kicker. Tana said she used to be the one blacking out and acting wild, but now she's in a different headspace, more focused, sober, calm, and watching people she loves still acting out, it's exhausting. That moment hit deep for a lot of fans, because it wasn't about clout or podcast drama. It was about growing apart from people who haven't grown up. Then things got even messier. Right around the time that episode dropped, a video started circulating. One of her longtime friends, Amari, appeared to be intoxicated at a public event and got called out for trying to take food without paying. The timing was suspicious, and fans immediately started whispering, was he the one Tana was talking about? But just when the rumors hit peak volume, Tana and Amari posted a TikTok together. So if it wasn't Amari, then who was it? Just when things couldn't feel more unstable, Tana went and dropped a bombshell. Cancelled, the podcast that skyrocketed her and Brooke's internet chemistry might actually be on its last legs. It all unfolded during Tana's recent appearance on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast.
Love bomb quick?
No, not love bombing at all, but
I noticed something with me, like at least growing up with my parents at a young age, I always felt like I really had to fight for their love and fight for their attention. So I noticed myself carrying that into relationships.
In a moment that caught even Logan off guard, Tana casually hinted that the podcast might not continue once their current contract ends. And the way she said it, not with sadness, but with relief. She explained that the person she was when Cancelled started is not the person she is now. Back then, the show was built on chaos, gossip, and being loud. Now she's in what she calls her peace era, and waking up every week just to get on a couch and tear people apart. It doesn't excite her anymore. It drains her. And then came the real kicker. She admitted that while she and Brooke are amazing as friends when it comes to business, they clash. A lot. They've had different creative visions for a while, from how often to film, to what kind of content to lean into. They just haven't been aligned. Tana said it's hard to show up every week when your heart isn't in it, especially when you feel like you're carrying the weight of something that no longer reflects who you are. The confession caught fire online. People immediately started speculating. Was this Tana subtly saying she's done working with Brooke altogether? Or was she just being honest about needing a break? And while she was careful not to throw Brooke under the bus, the timing and the tone said a lot. This wasn't just burnout. It sounded like Tana had emotionally checked out. But fans still weren't sure. Was the show really ending? Or was this just Tana being dramatic? The answer came shortly after, and this time, it was official. A few days after Tana's impulsive appearance stirred the pot.
Like I would only be, I only felt like a relationship was fulfilling or love was true if I had to fight for it. Mm-hmm. And do you, could you see yourself in that sentiment?
Yeah, of course. If you look at my track record, it's always that. It's always the need for love from somebody who is not giving it to me.
Mm.
The Cancelled podcast dropped a brand new episode titled Why the Cancelled Podcast is Ending. And just like that, the speculation turned into confirmation. Tana and Brooke sat side by side, calm but noticeably different. There was no shade, no cryptic subtext. Just two women admitting that the energy had shifted, and so had their priorities. They revealed that the podcast contract officially ends at the end of the year, and they're planning to part ways creatively once it's up. What stood out most wasn't the announcement itself, it was Tana's tone. She said that she's been counting down the days until the contract is over, that Cancelled is the final outlier standing in the way of her peace. Brooke nodded, but it was clear this decision wasn't completely mutual. Brooke still seemed interested in keeping the show alive, or at least evolving it. But Tana, she was done showing up just because she had to. To be clear, neither of them ruled out a future reunion. Tana even joked about Backstreet Boysing it someday, bringing the show back if the audience demanded it. But the subtext was loud. They're not the same girls who started this podcast in 2020, and forcing it now would only drag the friendship down. What used to feel like an unbreakable bond, spontaneous, chaotic, and hilarious, now felt more like a business deal running on fumes. And that's where fans started reading between the lines. Was this really about the podcast format? Or had their friendship quietly unraveled, masked behind professional language and a soft goodbye?
For you and Matt, like what would typically trigger an argument?
We really didn't argue a lot. When we would argue, it would more so be like someone did something to piss the other person off.
The episode didn't offer a dramatic mic drop. Instead, it was slow, thoughtful, almost too calm for two people whose brand was built on being wild. But the drama wasn't over yet. Because while Brooke stayed mostly quiet, the internet wasn't convinced this was just about creative differences. The podcast might have ended on a peaceful note, but the internet wasn't buying it. Across Reddit threads, TikTok stitches, and Twitter timelines, fans began dissecting every word, every glance, every awkward laugh in that final Cancelled episode. And one theory started gaining serious traction. Tana had been quiet quitting the podcast, and Brooke, for months. According to commenters, Tana's tone had shifted long before the official announcement. She seemed distant, less enthusiastic, often distracted. Fans noticed how often she showed up late, how she avoided certain topics, and how Brooke would overcompensate just to keep the conversation flowing. Some went further, saying Tana no longer seemed to respect Brooke the way she used to. She barely looks at her when she talks, one user wrote. It's giving, I'm here because I have to be, not because I want to be. Others blamed Brooke, claiming she became too serious, too structured, and had lost the carefree vibe that made their dynamic click in the first place. Brooke's trying to run a brand, but Tana just wants to be herself, another fan wrote. It's a creative mismatch now. What both sides agreed on? Something had changed. And this wasn't just a podcast ending, it was a friendship fading, quietly and publicly. Even Tana's own comment under a post sparked curiosity. When someone claimed she didn't like Brooke anymore and had outgrown her, Tana replied, I love Brooke. Don't twist that. Just eventually there will be a new era. People grow and we need to. It was graceful. It was polite. But it wasn't a denial. And that one sentence fed 1,000 interpretations. Some fans respected the honesty. Others said it felt like a subtle way of saying, we're done, just not publicly. But all of this raised the next question. If Tana's moved on, what exactly is she moving toward? Because whether you love her or not, one thing's for sure. Tana Mongeau never stays quiet for long. Now that Cancelled is winding down, everyone's asking the same thing. What's next? For Tana Mongeau, the path forward already seems in motion. She's made it clear. She's not disappearing, just shifting. Rumors are swirling that she's going to put more energy into her podcast with Trisha Paytas, not Loveline. That pairing? Chaotic, unpredictable, and exactly the kind of viral mess that gets people talking. But here's the twist. Fans are nervous because if history tells us anything, Tana on tour plus a co-host usually equals one thing.
I don't know. It was like I guess we were both pretty stubborn. So we both thought that we were in the right and that they were in the wrong. And we just had a hard time seeing eye to eye sometimes. Like I was always trying to remind him that we are on the same side and the problem is the problem. Like we're arguing like this when it should be like, okay, we're a team. Here's the issue. How can we fix this together? It was either that or it was just acting out of, like, in the moment, acting out of anger and not meaning things. So then it was one of those things where I was like, okay, if we're ever annoyed or irritated, let's just, take a breather. Let's not talk for a second and really try to figure out what the actual problem is, like where this anger is stemming from, and then we can discuss it.
Drama. People love Tana for her honesty, her fire, and her ability to say the wildest things without flinching. But that same energy, especially in live settings, often pushes her closest friendships to the edge, which raises a real concern. Can Not Loveling survive the spotlight if it goes on the road? As for Brooke, her next move is more of a question mark. She's teased solo content before, and some fans believe she's building toward a more curated, lifestyle-focused brand. Think vlogs, travel content, maybe even wellness. While it may not bring in the same level of viral chaos, it could give her space to finally step out of Tana's shadow. And let's be honest, Brooke is talented, smart, and funny in her own right. She's just never had the spotlight all to herself. Until now. There's also talk of possible crossover moments down the line. Both Brooke and Tana have said they still love each other. And who knows? A one-off reunion episode, a guest feature, maybe even a joint event isn't off the table. But whatever happens next, one thing is clear. This is the end of an era. The podcast may be closing its chapter, but both women are stepping into their own lanes, ready to write entirely different stories. And as fans, all we can do is sit back, refresh our feeds, and wait for the next headline to drop. So, was this just two friends naturally growing apart? Or did the internet just witness a slow-motion breakup wrapped in podcast lighting and polite language? From leaked tour fights to subtle shade and a podcast quietly fading out, Tana and Brooke's journey has played out like a modern digital drama. One episode they're inseparable, the next they're dodging rumors, dodging questions, and, let's be real, dodging each other. At the core, it's not about who's right or wrong. It's about two people changing in real time, under the watchful eye of millions. Tana's stepping into a phase that's less about chaos and more about control, her own kind of peace. Brooke, on the other hand, may finally have the space to find her voice away from Tana's overpowering presence. And fans, they've been along for every twist, choosing sides, switching loyalties, and analyzing every single moment. But maybe the truth isn't that scandalous. Maybe it's just life. People evolve, priorities shift, and sometimes even the most iconic duos need to hit pause. Still, one can't help but wonder, if the podcast wasn't called Cancelled, would it have ended this way? Or did the name predict the outcome all along? Whether they come back for a reunion episode or never podcast together again, one thing's certain, the era of Tana and Brooke as we knew it is over. But in true internet fashion, that doesn't mean the conversation is. So, are you Team Tana, Team Brooke, or just Team let's see what happens next? Drop your take in the comments, because this friendship might be on ice, but the drama, oh, it's just heating up.